Good morning. My name is Sarah, one of the Twin Lakes Church pastors, and I'm excited to be with you today for our video devotional. As I continue to reflect on the story of Joseph, I am remembering back to a sermon Renee gave a few weeks ago where he talked about what we can choose when our lives feel out of control. And he said there's actually three things we can choose when life feels out of control. Number one, you and I can choose to do the next right thing. Number two, you and I can choose integrity. And number three, you and I can choose to be a blessing. Now, I don't know if one of those stood out to you above the others, but I was struck by the first response. Even when my life feels out of control, I can choose to do the next right thing. In fact, it reminds me of something my parents would say to me when, as a child, I would get upset or frustrated that circumstances in life weren't working out the way I wanted them to. They would say, Sarah, we know you don't like this, but your response to the situation is still your responsibility. Your response is your responsibility. Renee put it this way: no matter the adversity, you and I still have agency. You see, we can't do anything to change the circumstances in our lives, but we do have control over how we respond to those circumstances. Well, this might leave you asking, that sounds great, but how do I know what the next right thing to do is? Well, I want to offer two guardrail questions that have been helpful for me as I have attempted to discern over the course of my life what the next right thing to do is. And these questions are simple but so helpful. The first one is this: does this thing I'm thinking of doing honor or show my love for God? And number two, does this thing I am thinking of doing honor or show my love for others? You see, these two guardrail questions come directly out of Scripture. They actually come from Matthew chapter 22, where Jesus says, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it: love your neighbor as yourself. In other words, the Lord has two priorities for us in our lives. Number one, that we love God. Number two, that we love others. So as you face adversity and as you attempt to perceive God's plan for you in the middle of that adversity, would you simply choose the next right thing today? And if you're not sure if what you're thinking of doing is the next right thing, would you attempt to discern if it's the right thing based on these two questions? Is this thing I'm thinking of doing showing my love for God? And is it showing my love for others? I hope that those two guardrail questions prove helpful to you today. Thanks so much for being with me. We hope to see you back tomorrow.